Thanks for tuning into the 6-3 podcast. I'm your host, Joel, with my co-host Ben and guest host Isaiah. We did running backs last week, and we were going to close out our offensive rankings because we can't just wait anymore on DeAndre Hopkins to find a home. So at the end of our rankings, we will do the top 3 odds to land DeAndre Hopkins and plug him there and see where we think they would rank if they had him.
Okay.
But that's the best we can do. We've waited long enough. By then, at this rate, we won't even be done by the season starts. So we have to go. Ben, you get the first pick. Isaiah will go 2, I'll go 3, and then we'll go back around to Ben.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Bengals number 1. I think it's mostly pretty clear. There's some others. I don't know if there's another team that can boast the 3 that they have. A lot of teams have 2, but Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, as good as it gets. They added Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones, who I actually think could have a nice career in the NFL if he falls with the right team. And I honestly think the Bengals are a pretty good team for him.
Joey B's gonna get him also.
Yeah, Trent Irwin, it's a decent receiver. Stanley Morgan. Really, after that top 3, it's not great, but you don't really need more than 3 plus a solid tight end. And Joe Burrow is definitely gonna get them the ball.
Did you just not want to pronounce Andre Iosivas? Is that what it was?
Andre Iosivas? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot he was on that list, but I mean,
okay.
I don't anticipate him racking up tons of catches this year. So
I think Iosivas might land on the practice squad for all I know.
He might. So, but yeah, I think they were number 1 last year. Deserve to be number 1 this year. It's pretty clear. So,
yeah. All right, Isaiah, you got 2.
Man. I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
At 2.
They're my 3. Yeah.
I had them at 3. I had my 2, 3, and 4. I bumped around a lot. But yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they kind of do a little bit of the same thing, but they just and that nerd in Miami just knows how to plan for both of them and just make them explosive. They could both go for 1,000 yards easy. It's just a high top 2. I don't really I know the name Braxton Berrios, but Robbie Chosen, as Joel put it. River.
That's what he wants. I had to give it. It's
River Cracraft. Is that actually his name?
River Cracraft. Yeah.
Cracraft. Good Lord. How is he
not? At Washington State. He was really.
I don't know how he's not playing for Ron Rivera, but
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, that's just an amazing top 2. They used them very well in that offense last year. I think the dynamicness, how dynamic those 2 are, kind of covered for some of Tua's shortcomings. Just to have that highly touted. It's really hard, with the wide receiver ratings, you try to rate them independent of their quarterback.
Yeah.
Because you want to put the Chiefs higher because you're oh, I know they're going to be good, but it's without Patrick Mahomes. But I think it's the opposite with the Dolphins, where the receiving score lifts up how good Tua can be.
Absolutely agree.
If they got a better quarterback, we would really see how good it could be in that.
Yeah, the Dolphins have not had a good time in our rankings so far. In fact, I think they're bottom 6 right now. Obviously, they haven't played their defense in yet, but their quarterback 13, their running back 28, wide receiver by far at 3, tight end 30, offensive line 21, and then their special teams at 16, and their head coach nerd 23. So they've been, their next highest is obviously 13 at quarterback. But again, I think when we pick Tua, I still don't think Tua is all that special by himself. That's why it was. I don't know how well.
Here's the thing. Who knows if he's going to make it through more than 4 games this year too? He gets one more hit to the head and he might be in the hospital. So
the old Johan Franz.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be game over here pretty soon.
But they have Mike White and Skylar Thompson. They'll be great.
Right. You watched Skylar Thompson play last year, remember?
Dude, Mike White.
And Mike White.
Yeah.
And then James Blackman if you have to go too far back. Yeah.
Mike White and James Blackman.
God, I forgot he existed.
A white and a black man.
Yeah, that's great.
Good Lord.
So yeah, I mean, I'll just switch around my 2 and 3 here, but I had the Seahawks at 2. With DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's a really big three. Obviously, we haven't seen Smith and Jigba play yet, other than Ohio State, but really so much potential there. D. Eskridge is actually a pretty solid 4. I wouldn't be mad if he was my 4 out of Western Michigan. They have Dereke Young and Cody Thompson's been there for a while, understands the system. So some decent reliability, just not super athleticism in the last 2 there, got it. But man, I love that top 3. Really, and I think the Seahawks are actually gonna be a pretty solid team again this year. They haven't in any position so far. They've not even been in the 20 or later. Their worst position is 19 at offensive line.
Talked about it, how we're like, I just don't love the Seahawks, but then you look at it and we're like,
they're on paper. It's like
on paper, like pretty good. I just don't know. So it's interesting.
Who's the other Ohio State wide receiver that came out? Chris Olave.
I mean, there's Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
Garrett Wilson. Okay. I mean, when they were in college,
Samuel. How far are we going back? Paris Campbell.
No, just the like the 3 dudes who were there a couple years ago. When they were in college, everybody said that Jackson Smith and Jigba was better than Olave and Wilson.
Yep.
So they have both been very successful. Well, they've both been successful, and if he is genuinely the best of them, he has the highest ceiling then.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. is even better than Smith and Jigba. So
right.
Yeah.
I kind of want the Lions to tank.
He might go top 3. I don't, but I don't want to do that.
Do you think he'll go number 1 overall?
No, he'll go top 5.
Yeah, maybe top 3 even.
Mari Cooper went 4 or 3, so it's like I think he'd go higher than that.
What about what's the one guy's name? White for the Bears.
Oh, Kevin White went 7.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Braylon Edwards went 3 when he went.
Yeah, and Irving Fryer went 1. Irving Fryer went 1 if you go way back. I mean,
yeah,
it's happened.
Yeah.
So, Ben, who do you have at 4?
4. I am going to take. I'm going to take the 49ers at 4. Debo and Brandon Ayuk, I think, are a really 1-2 punch. I think Ayuk is underrated. I think the 49ers, it's again kind of one of those things we talked about with the quarterback play. Their offense is not like pass game based. I mean, Debo could be a real receiver on, number 1 receiver on a lot of teams, but they use him in a lot of different ways. And they definitely are built around running the ball. So it's not a team that, definitely throws it around the yard like some of these other teams. But I think, if they did, they would definitely be rated and considered higher regard.
Was Ronnie Bell the swing between 4 and 5?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Actually, it was Ray McLeod, actually, what it was. Jawan Jennings as well is not bad. Chris Conley, Ray McLeod, Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell. I think Ronnie Bell finds his way onto I don't know if he right away gets on the roster, but really wouldn't surprise me. He seems to find himself open a lot. So, but yeah, those top 2, they use them in a lot of different ways, and they're both really good. And with that offense, they use so many tight ends and different running backs and things like that. I don't think you need more than 2 elite guys. So,
yeah, that's a good one.
I think one of Ronnie Bell's. Yeah, I had him at 7, but I think one of Ronnie Bell's best attributes that translates to NFL is like his positioning was always really good. Like the way he positioned himself against cornerbacks and safeties, like where he like stopped and took a sidestep when the ball wasn't going as far. Like that was always really good, and that's something that's like can translate well to the NFL game. So,
yeah.
Okay, number what are we at? 5?
This will be 5, yeah.
I have actually my number 3, and that would be the Eagles.
Yeah.
Again, top 2, very like obviously making it work for them. AJ Brown is hot, like at times the best wide receiver in the NFL. I know you have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, but like I mean that Steelers game last year where he had 3 touchdowns and they were all just like mossing people. He's got a different dimension with his size and strength that some of those other guys don't have. They rely on their speed more, but definitely, like top 3 wide receiver in the league. And then Devontae Smith is really had a good year last year. Was able to, kind of eat because AJ Brown gained so much attention. So a really dynamic 2 there. What do you got? Olamide Zaccheaus. Don't know who that is. Quez Watkins. I know some of those guys. Greg Ward.
Greg Ward, the former quarterback from Houston.
Yeah.
Quez Watkins might be the fastest guy in the NFL, but that's all he can do.
Yeah.
Well, it worked out for John Ross.
And Mike Wallace. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. I mean, great top two. And then you got a bunch of dudes who just need to not drop the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had them at 4. They were my next there. So, but you mentioned Justin Jefferson, so I'll take my 6 here at 6. I'll take the Vikings. Yeah, Justin Jefferson really carries it, but I think Jordan Addison's going to be a really solid receiver for them. KJ Osborne has just continued to get better the last couple of years. Jalen Reagor, hopefully he can kind of figure it out with the Vikings, or hopefully not because he's NFC North. But former Lion Brandon Powell, former Michigan State receiver Jalen Naylor, and then they got Blake Prohl, Ricky Prohl's son. So there's some dudes there.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here. T. Lamb and Michael Gallup, and really Brandon Cooks, although he hasn't been as good lately. That's a good top 3. And then Jalen Tolbert, I was expecting a little bit more out of him at one point, but we'll see if that can kind of translate some of the stuff that we saw in the pre-draft stuff. KaVontae Turpin, I said
USFL stud.
I said Quez Watkins was going to be the fastest guy in the NFL. KaVontae Turpin might be the fastest guy in the NFL.
He's fast.
He's ridiculously fast. But he's not very big, so we'll see. He's definitely a return specialist, but it'll be interesting to see if they can get him the ball in different ways. Tyron Johnson, then Simi Fehoko. They rounded out. I think the top 2 guys are really physical. CD's a pretty complete receiver, and then Brandon Cooks has been around and he's a vet. He's been on some good teams, so I think it's a good group.
I legitimately wish the NFL would bring back like skills competitions and have like 40-yard dashes for like Tyreek Hill, Jameson Williams, Quez Watkins, KaVontae Turpin,
that would be fun.
Rashad Perriman, Marquise Goodwin, just dudes.
Some of these dudes, that would be really fun to watch.
Yeah, Demir Bird, there's fast dudes. I'd want to see them race.
Yeah,
I mean, and yeah, when you have like 3 or 4 other guys above them, those like the guys who just are purely on speed, you can actually make that work. I think it's like when a team, like when the Bengals draft John Ross and like want to be their number 1 option, it's like that's never going to happen.
No.
Like, if you can
he can't do anything run fast in a straight line. So
yeah, if you're relying on 4 other guys and then you just have this guy like do a wheel route and just like run down the field and hope he gets open, like then it works out. But
yeah,
and they still have to be physical enough to take the trap block at the beginning of the snap, right? There's a lot of those fast receivers just get pressed and then they can't release.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'm gonna go with my next best available, and that's gonna be the Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they're my 9, so they're my second next available. Yeah.
There you go. Stephon Diggs is very, very good and has just been very, very good for years. And then Gabriel Davis has just been like the hero of Buffalo for the past 2 years. He's coming up clutch in big moments. He also is very good. Like his route running. I think I saw a clip from him a couple like yesterday or 2 days ago where he just like juke someone at like full speed and they just like tumble over themselves. Again, it's hard to not like take into effect their quarterback because like Josh Allen can just throw dimes, but yeah, I just think you got a good room there. And then just guys, a bunch of dudes with cool names. Khalil Shakir, Justin Shorter, Keyshawn Johnson. Great.
Yeah, solid. My number 8 was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Calvin Ridley coming back this year off suspension. Christian Kirk had a really nice year, and I think this change. I thought he was going to be one of the worst contract situations ever because they paid him a ton of money. He had a really nice year for them last year as Trevor Lawrence continues to emerge. Zay Jones still has, I think, the college football record at East Carolina for catches in a year.
Mm-hmm. I always thought he was going to be better in the NFL. I'll be honest.
I know, everybody did. You put up numbers like that at East Carolina, and like you're going to be good. I think he's semi-reliable, but I like him as a 4. Jamal Agnew, extremely athletic, can do a lot of different things for the offense, and even come in and play like 3rd-string nickel corner if you need him. And then you have Parker Washington out of Penn State. some Tim Jones, and some Seth Williams. So, yeah, I think, those first four guys, I think Parker Washington actually could have a role in this offense.
Parker Washington's better than he got credit for.
And because he was he was still the number 2 wide receiver on that team, right? I mean, it
pretty
doesn't help.
crappy QB play too at times. So Sean Clifford was pretty.
And yet he's in the NFL, right? You figure it out.
Well, he's pretty mid.
Yeah, I don't even think he's mid, but
yeah, I don't think he's good. But anyway, back and forth here. I'll go with the Raiders here. Devontae Adams still one of the best, receivers in the NFL. I think PFF had him as the highest rated receiving grade in the last 3 seasons, which is pretty impressive. Hunter Renfrow is just a route running savant, and made himself a really nice career in the NFL. Jacoby Myers, I think, is underrated, a former Patriot. Keelan Cole, DeAndre Carter, Philip Dorsett, who's just fast, and Trey Tucker. I think obviously Adams kind of holds this group up, but Hunter Renfrow, I think, underrated. And then Jacoby Myers, I think, is a solid number 3. So I think it's 3 solid guys there, with Adams being the top 3 or 4 receiver in the league. So
I am at 11, so 10 is not a bad spot.
I'm at 9. I think Hunter Renfrow has impressed me with his
receding hairline.
That too.
Oh, he's 48, so
he just
he's at Clemson forever.
Yeah, I always thought he was going to be one of those he'll just live in near Clemson and just be a legend for his life and have 5 car dealerships. But he's good.
He's an actually good NFL receiver. Yes.
Yeah, he's been a good he just had the make of one of those guys that's sick in college and then just never does anything.
Right. Stetson Bennett will be in 3 years. Yes.
Hunter Renfrow could possibly have a 15, 16-year career just because of how good he is, technique wise.
Yeah.
Next, I will go. I want to pick one team just because I want to kind of make fun of them, but I will go with the Los Angeles Chargers.
That was my next one, Rats.
I won't make fun of the other team yet. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have just been a dynamic duo for a while, and then adding Quentin Johnston, first-round pick, is I think going to make that really good group. I actually like Jalen Guyton quite a bit at a 4. I think he's pretty talented. He could be he's a 4, but he could be a 3 or have a lot of utility in other teams too. Don't really know much of the other guys, but I think it's a solid group. And then again, just just slinger throwing the ball around to him, so they're going to put up numbers. Yeah, I think Keenan Allen's just been quietly one of the best wide receivers for the past at least 5 years, and with different quarterbacks. And then Mike Williams just does some stuff every couple weeks, every season that just wows you. And yeah, I think Quentin Johnston could be one of. This wide receiver class from this past draft, I don't know about, but he could be one of the best of them if he really finds his way with. Why am I not thinking of their quarterback's name?
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert. Yeah, so there we go.
So I always trust my rankings that I do pre-show, but I always feel a little bit smarter when you guys are also following suit. I get to pick my 12 I get to pick my 12 at 12 just because you guys have picked everything else that's where it needs to be. So my 12 is the Los Angeles Rams. And it's
that's my 12.
It's a similar situation to the Vegas Raiders. Devontae Adams obviously carries them. I think Cooper Kupp carries this team. Obviously, you have a better quarterback. I think obviously with the Rams than maybe Garoppolo with the Raiders, but Van Jefferson, I think he's improving. Son of former Lion Sean Jefferson, and then Demarcus Robinson's been around for a while, but he's a guy I like as a reliable 4. Obviously, he's going to have to step in right now as a 3. Ben Skowronek is there, Tutu Atwell out of Louisville, Puka Nacua, and Lance McCutcheon. So a bunch of nothings the last 2 or 3 there, but and a lot of people hate Ben Skowronek. He's not great. but I think Cooper Kupp is going to elevate this situation. The Rams, their tight end group was ranked at 19. So, Stafford just needs to have an offensive line to protect him. And I don't see that happening this year either because we ranked their offensive line at 31.
We did.
So,
was this 13?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it going. Pick my 13.
I'm gonna pick the Bucks here at 13.
That's my 13. Sweet.
That's my 10. That's the team I wanted to make fun of.
Yeah, I mean the problem is they're still gonna stink because they're not gonna have anybody get them the ball. But like this is
their next best position is 27th ranked.
Yeah, because this is a really good receiver group. If they still had Tom Brady, I would actually think they'd probably find a way to make some noise this year. But they stink beyond this group right here.
Mm-hmm.
They're last, by the way.
They'll be pretty good on I think they'll actually have some pieces on defense. Their defense will probably prop them up there.
Their defensive ends, when I typed them up today, I was like, their defensive line's still solid.
Yeah. And the couple linebackers, like I feel like their little defense will still be pretty good, but they aren't going to score any points because their quarterback isn't going to be able to throw the ball. Because their O-line is going to get him killed, first of all. And then he won't be good. So
across the board, 27, 32, 13, 29, 29, 28, 27. That's their rankings.
That's really bad. But anyway, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Russell Gage. That's a top three.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, you could even argue they could be higher. I think I
love that top three. I do like
in my mind. Like in my mind, like that top three could be like a top 8 group. Honestly,
and I'm honestly very high on Trey Palmer out of Nebraska.
Trey Palmer's good.
If we only did like the top 3 wide receivers, they would be higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think there is some bias because their quarterback play is going to be so terrible that I definitely dropped them a few spots just thinking about how that's going to be. But that top 3 is as good as it gets. I mean, Mike Evans is a stud. Godwin's always been really productive when healthy. Russell Gage is a really good number 3. And then, I'm high on Trey Palmer. I think he's a speedster, and I think he could be really good this year.
Watch Baker pull a Geno Smith, though, because we ranked Geno Smith really low and Geno and Drew Lock really low, and then boom.
Yeah.
Who's had a worse Super Bowl hangover, the Bucks or the Rams?
I mean,
because there's potential for the Rams to be good again.
Yeah. Well, the problem is Bucks. I mean, Bucks.
I still think the Rams are going to be best case average this year.
Yeah.
I still think like 8 and 9 is their ceiling.
Same.
Bucks are going to be like 4 and 13.
That's their ceiling. I think 4 wins is their ceiling. I think they're bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't look at them that they're at least for the Rams, their quarterback didn't retire twice.
True. Yeah. He just died for a year.
Yeah.
Because he pushed some lady off the stage. Or no, he just watched her fall. That's what.
Yeah, he just turned around because he was a little too drunk.
Karma was just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Still a Stafford homer. Yeah.
Well, this is where it's been close for a lot of them. This is where it kind of gets tough for me.
Pick my 14.
I want to pick my 14 too, but I feel like it won't go over well. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick the Washington Commanders.
No,
I'm at 19.
I love the top 3.
Yeah, I like their top
Johnny
3.
Brown too, really, but
yeah, I really like Terry McLaurin. I really like Curtis Samuel. I think Jahan Dotson will get better. They don't have anybody to throw him the ball. And had no quarterback play for. Like I saw another thread of Ron Rivera's quarterbacks in Washington. Terrible, disgusting. Dwayne Haskins.
It's sad, but Kirk Cousins is probably their best quarterback since.
They benched Dwayne Haskins and then started 2 other guys and then went back to Dwayne Haskins. That's how bad the quarterback played.
Yeah.
So it's tough because I think like if you put them on a different team with a competent quarterback, we'd have them ranked higher.
I think the corpse of Dwayne Haskins might be a better situation than Sam Howell right now.
Yeah. Like if you gave I like the Lions. I like the Lions receiving core, but if you gave like Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, like an arm with Jared Goff or like anybody, even just an above average quarterback, I think we'd have them ranked a lot higher. But
I agree.
I will put them at 14 just to be unbiased as far as their quarterback play goes. We did it for the Bucks. We can do it for the Commanders.
Yep.
I feel like I want to push my 14 down though, so I'm kind of glad you didn't pick my 14 because they weren't sincerely my 14. I felt really hit and miss on that one. So I might take my 15 here, and it is. That's so tough. If I look at these back side by side, oh my word.
Uh-oh.
Hang on, I'm gonna look at 17 in a second.
There's about like 5 teams that could be mixed matched anywhere right around here.
I'm trying to like put my
There's so many
homerism.
teams, dude.
I'm trying to put
There's
my
so many-
homerism aside because they're in the mix here, but I
They're my
don't.
14. They're my 14.
They're my 16, but I'm not there yet. I'm like looking at my 14,
What are we
15,
talking
16.
about? What team are we talking
What I'm trying to do is I'm looking at the Lions and then I'm trying to like look at, okay, are these other teams nearby? Would I rather have this group with like Jared Goff? I'm trying to do it that way. Good grief.
I mean, anyway.
You know what? I think I'm gonna take the Lions. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Oh, it's tough. I don't think I like the other ones close by with Jared Goff better. So yeah, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams obviously suspended for the first 6 games, which kind of stinks. But you know, Josh Reynolds is still there, and Marvin Jones is back to hopefully at least be effective until then. Khalif Raymond was the second best receiver for them last year, actually.
Yeah.
And then they drafted Antoine Green on North Carolina, which who knows how that goes. But they're in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. They're, I think, ranked 3rd or 4th in odds to land him.
DeAndre, that would be nuts.
Would be huge. So yeah, I'm gonna do that just because I didn't think the other ones with Goff were better.
All right.
All right. I mean, I'm not against that. I'll take the Bears here. The addition of DJ Moore really raises the bar for them. Darnell Mooney is a good receiver. I think he's a solid number 2. Chase Claypool, I think he stinks, but at number 3, it's not that bad. The less good St. Brown at number 4. Dante Pettis, I think, could see the field. And then Velus Jones, Tyler Scott rounded out. Velus Jones will definitely get a chance. I mean,
Well, he's a return man, so he's at least probably thinking roster.
definitely going to be on the field. We'll see if he gets much of a chance to catch the ball. They are going to be a team that's going to run the ball a lot. So I don't think they're going to need to ask a ton out of their receivers. It just depends on if they make enough big plays for Justin Fields. So
Yeah. All right. I feel like now we're into like, I don't really like any of them.
I still
like a couple yet.
Eh.
a few.
All right. I am going to pick. Yeah, there are a couple I like. I'm going to pick the New York Jets.
Yep.
They're my second best available.
Yep.
Yeah, I think like I don't know if they have like that number 1 guy, but they just have a bunch of number 2s, which at this point in the middle of the rankings is kind of gets you there. So Garrett Wilson, very impressive last year. I shouldn't say they have a bunch of numbers. He could be a number 1 if Aaron Rodgers likes him. But then you have just
he could be off the team before you know it.
Yeah, right. If he doesn't like crystals and drugs and yeah. Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb obviously are Aaron Rodgers' favorites. But I've always liked McCole Hardman. I wish he was still on the Chiefs because I don't think he'll ever be as good as he was on the Chiefs. And then Western Michigan, Corey Davis, always got a rep. I don't know what he's done the past few years, but every time I see his name, I'm like, ooh, Corey Davis. And then Denzel Mims is all right. And then Deontay Spencer, I don't know who that is, but yeah, they definitely have the most people I've heard of remaining. So, but yeah, I think the Jets fit in right there at 17.
Yeah. I went back and forth on this next one here. Because my original 14 is actually still available, but I've kind of been pushing them down the hill. And I'm going to push them again. So I'm going to go to my 18, and that is the Browns.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore going there, I think is going to be. I think Elijah Moore was just he needed a new place to be.
He was just mad. He didn't like Zach Wilson. All right.
Yeah, he's in it, and this is maybe a real opportunity for him to get it together. DPJ doesn't have to be their number one wide receiver like he was in the past. And that's a solid 3 or 4 guy for sure.
Yeah.
Cedric Tillman drafted this year out of Tennessee. Not a bad draft pick. David Bell, I still like out of Purdue. Marquise Goodwin with veteran leadership, and Jakeem Grant with speed and returnability. I think it's pretty deep even with your 6 and 7 receivers. So
yeah. What number is this?
This will be 19, I believe.
19.
Yeah.
I'll take the Ravens.
Sure.
I think OBJ makes a pretty big difference, actually, because I think he's still got another year or 2 of solid football in him. Rashad Bateman, I was super high on him coming out of Minnesota. Zay Flowers, I think is going to be good. Devin Duvernay can fly. Nelson Aguilar, I mean, he drops a lot of balls.
When he catches it, he's all right.
Well documented that he drops stuff, dropping stuff like Aguilar. And then Tylan Wallace, I thought was pretty solid. So I think it's overall a good group. Probably the best group that Lamar's ever had. So really going to see what happens there. Obviously, it's still going to be a run-heavy team, but they'll have a little bit more flexibility on what they can do with the passing game with this group. So should be interesting to see what they do. Plus, they hired a new OC, so they hired the guy from Georgia. So they had Ty Monken, so that'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, at least it's their fifth or fourth option that drops everything instead of their first option that drops everything.
True.
He's
elite. Like if he comes back and he's elite again, shoot, that could be really special. So
yeah. I mean, OBJ was good for the Rams. It was just that Cooper Kupp had an insane year. Like he wasn't going to go for 1,000 yards because of how good Cooper Kupp was that year. So it was kind of tough for him to show what he really had left. So okay, I got 3 that I'm picking between. And I might go with my 3rd down the line. But who knows? Ugh. I'm going to go with the Nerlens Saints.
Okay.
I thought Chris Olave had a good first year. Again, I don't like who's their quarterback?
It's Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. Okay. Is that better than Jameis?
It is. Yeah.
And then Michael Thomas is back. I mean, he's getting up there in age, but he caught when it was Drew Brees, he caught literally everything thrown his way. So if he can just do that, he may not be as explosive as he once was, but he has incredible hands. I don't think Traquan Smith is a bad 3. Yeah. And then they just have dudes. Rashid Shaheed, Keith Kirkwood, Brian Edwards.
Brian Edwards was really solid for the Raiders for a little bit there, and then now he's the 6th or 7th receiver on the Saints. So I don't know what happened. But
he might be cut.
But Derek Carr likes him. So
yeah, I mean he took him with him. So
yeah. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what Chris Olave has with a competent quarterback, and we'll see what Michael Thomas still has left in the tank. So it's hard to put them much lower than the low 20s. So yeah, I think they deserve to be there. They're not just bad. They're not bottom of the league bad. So
no.
Well, I've been kicking my original 14 down the hill long enough now. I'm going to take him here at 21. That's the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick's a solid receiver. KJ Hamler's got to figure it out yet, but another burner. Marquez Callaway had some decent games with the Saints. Marvin Mims was also a 2nd-round pick by the Jets recently, so it's you got to. Or is that Denzel Mims? That was Denzel Mims. Sorry.
That was Denzel Mims. Yeah, we already talked about him.
Whoops. And then Montreal Washington has been there. He's their main return man, but you maybe there's the emergence with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
A better coach, a coach you with I don't know any ability at all is probably gonna make this better. because whatever they had there, like they had a
The
mannequin.
Nathaniel Hackett years.
Yeah, they had a mannequin coaching them.
The Vic Fangio years.
I think Nathaniel Hackett just got like the defensive playbook in accident. It was just like,
oh, what do I do?
How can I get the defense involved?
No, the whole thing was messed up. They hired him because that's who Aaron Rodgers wanted, because then Aaron Rodgers knew that he could call the plays. But then they didn't get Aaron Rodgers. They forgot that part. And they're like, oh, we got to get Russell Wilson. And it turns out Russell Wilson might be a weirdo too.
Oof, Russell Wilson, dude. What? I used to love Russell Wilson. This past year, man.
Turns out he's a weirdo.
Now he's just
a weirdo that still loves Jesus. He's just a
he does love Jesus, but he's Mr. Unlimited
about everything he does. And then it turns out he's got his own like locker, his own office that teammates have to make office hours to go visit him. Like, what a weird guy. What is that?
It's odd. It's odd.
He's Mr. Unlimited.
Did you hear the interview when they asked Sean Payton about that? When after he got hired, they're like, "So what do you think about Russ having his own office?" He goes, "Yeah, we don't do that here." He's like, "We're not gonna do that here."
See, I think that's what happened. Is that like Russell Wilson was just with Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll was like, "Russell, no, stop it, you're an idiot."
Yes, that's probably what.
And then he gets unleashed, and he's just like, "Broncos country, let's ride." And it's like they let him ride a little too long.
Yeah, exactly. They let him ride wherever he wanted to.
And now Sean Payton needs to come and be like, "You're being a weirdo. Listen, you're being a creep. Get out of here. Stop it.
You're being a creep, actually. You're, like that whole Subway commercial, whatever the heck that thing was, that was weird. That was weird. All right. What number are we on?
22, I think.
Limited.
22.
20 dose.
Okay.
Do it.
I don't know what you're doing, but do it.
I don't know. You could go a couple different ways here. But I think that I'm going to go with the Steelers. George Pickens, I think, is poised for a big year. I think he could be awesome. Again, I do worry about the QB play here again, depending on, Kenny Pickett, what ends up happening there. Deontay Johnson, I've always liked. He just has too many drops, but he's explosive when he catches the ball. Allen Robinson is a great number 3. Miles Boykin, also really solid number 4. And then Calvin Austin and Gunnar Olszewski. That rounds it out. We'll see how that goes with those two. But the top 4 is pretty good. You got probably 2 number 3s. And Allen Robinson, if he's still got anything real left in the tank, he's an upper tier number 3. Rounding out your 2 and your 3 and 4. And then George Pickens up and coming, could be a number 1 a year or 2 from now, like a really top tier number 1. And then Deontay Johnson's been productive, but he just leads the league in drops every year. So that's the problem.
And that was my next available. So
yeah, I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Yep.
They just have another one of those ones where they just have a bunch of 2s and a bunch of 3s.
Bunch of fast dudes.
Have you seen that Kadarius Toney stuff on Twitter though?
No. Oh no, I have, about him like just making fun, like really just lighting
just
people up.
Shredding this woman.
Like, what happened?
Just roasting her, being like an absolute dickhead, dude.
It's like, I mean, it was not nice. It was not nice. I think she was being pretty. I think she like called him out about something too, but he blew her away. Like it was pretty bad.
No, that's amazing. How did I not?
It was funny.
I gotta see if I can find out what he like.
Okay, but anyway,
I just started laughing.
Anyway, they have Kadarius Toney, who it's so tough because Patrick Mahomes just makes every wide receiver good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to really rate these guys effectively, because Kadarius Toney had a good end of his last season because he was at the Chiefs, but I don't think a lot of it was him. MVS, you got MVS, Sky Moore, again, all these dudes who just looked good because Patrick Mahomes was throwing the ball. So it's really hard to say. Heck yeah.
My apologies. I got hacked.
And then they have the brothers Justin Ross and John Ross. So there's that. Rashee Rice, Richie James, Justin Watson. So just a bunch of guys who are going to catch touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes. So there it is.
That's good.
I do. I mean, they just have a bunch of dudes that can fly, and that's what they need for that offense. So, and then Travis Kelce, who must be triple teamed in order to keep him away from the ball. So, that works.
All right, and my next available.
I love when they say I got hacked.
It's dude, he surely did not.
So funny. Oh, it's so funny to me.
I'm kind of this is tough. I'm gonna take them. I'm going back and forth on two here. I think they're kind of close, but I'm gonna take the Colts here next. I like Michael Pittman Jr. Just solid. I think he'd be a really good number 2. Obviously, they got to deal with him as number 1. They did get Isaiah McKenzie this year, which I think was a good move for them. And then Alec Pierce out of UCLA, supposed to be one of the better white receivers out there. Josh Downs, rookie out of, I think he went to North Carolina. And then Ashton Doolin's been there a while. Mike Strawn, which I thought was Straken, but it's Strawn, apparently. And then Brashad Perriman.
Brashad Perriman, man. Still around. He's still there.
He's still alive.
Brashad
hanging around is like he's a number 7 receiver on pretty much every team he's on, but he's on.
But
he's one of those guys, you know, the immaculate grid thing. He's one of those guys that you just guess if you know he's been on one of the teams because like he's probably been on the other team.
Yeah, he's been. This is probably like his 7th team, no lie.
He's probably been around on that team at some point. So what number?
This will be 25.
This is where we get to the stinky teams.
Stinky. Well,
I had one team. I had one team that I thought was pretty similar to the Colts yet, but
I think there's one team. Yeah, I think there's one team.
I'm gonna take the Giants.
Yep, that was it. That was the team.
Yeah. So Darius Slayton, I think, is actually pretty darn good. Paris Campbell's always been solid. Isaiah Hodgins, Sterling Shepard's had some moments. Jalen Hyatt, we'll see what he can do. He had a massive year last year for Tennessee, but there's some doubts because Tennessee ran one route all year. We'll see. Super fast, super athletic, and then Wan'Dale Robinson is a really good slot guy. Super fast. He played on like 4 different teams in college, but was pretty solid in college and good return guy. So Danny Dimes, I think Danny Dimes, kind of proved a few things last year. Brian Dable probably find a way to get these guys some good numbers. So we'll put him there.
He has that Bills offense riding high. Thanks. That time I texted him, my boy Dable.
Thanks.
He's my best friend. We texted each other once.
Yeah, one time.
Yeah, that was the team the Giants were the team that I was like flipping a coin on between the Colts. I'm like, they're pretty comparable.
See, okay, at 26, I will pick the only team that I think is redeemable left. And the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Adam Thielen as a number 1 is all right. I mean, he's getting older. But I don't know. I think his dip down in production obviously had something to do with like the best young wide receiver ever, but like in the NFL on his team. Like that's just, you're going to see your numbers dip down when Justin Jefferson is just going off. But they got DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault is okay. Terrace Marshall didn't do anything spectacular last year. And then just Jonathan Mingo, Shi Smith, just some guys. But I think
Preston Williams was good for a year with the Dolphins. I don't know what happened with him, where he's now like the 7th guy. It's like, what happened?
Right. But I think I think just having Chark, who has found success kind of wherever he's been, I think they'll get everything that's left in Adam Thielen's tank. It just depends how much that is. If his numbers go back up after like being the true number 1 option again, because I mean before Justin Jefferson got there, he was really good for the Vikings. I think he was pretty underrated. So he just had to deal with that. So I just think they're better than everybody else that's left. So I wanted to make sure to pick them because I think everybody else is kind of poo-poo.
I agree with you. There's one that I thought they're not good, but I was like, okay, maybe semi-redeemable yet. So I'll take him here. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons here. I think Drake London's going to be a solid.
Drake London possibly being pretty good. So.
Yeah, I mean, but Mac Hollins has been a reliable like 3 or 4 guy for a while, so it's not great that he's your 2. But Scotty Miller, he's had some solid years. Penny Hart's been there with the Seahawks, former Lion, Kadero Hodge, and then Jared Bernhardt. But there's not a lot of good teams left, but I think there's something there with the fact that I've liked Scotty Miller's game. I just feel like he didn't get a lot of opportunities. I think he got buried on the depth chart for a long time with the Bucks. So this is an opportunity for him for sure.
Yeah, but he was also like the token white guy for Tom Brady on the Bucks. So like, I think
token white guy. Yeah.
I think he saw some production with. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he saw some production with Tom Brady. Like I don't know.
That's fair. Tom Brady does have to have 1 or 2 white guys to throw on him.
Yeah, he's got to have the who this guy could play lacrosse. Like he's
Chris Hogan's, Wes Welker.
I mean, you got Chris Hogan, you got Edelman, you got Wes Welker. You got some dudes all over the place. That
Gunnar Olszewski was there for a while.
He was. I'll take the Cardinals here.
that was my next.
Marquise Brown's fast. Rondale Moore, I think could be. Actually, I kind of like Rondale Moore as a slot guy. He's dynamic. Greg Dortch actually had some moments last year. Michael Wilson, pretty meh. Zach Pascal's been around, so I guess you've got some veteran presence there. And then Brandon Smith actually had the Cardinals a little bit ahead of the Falcons. I think they're a little bit deeper. So,
yeah. See, maybe you're higher on Dortch. I know he's had moments. To me, Scotty Miller, lining up Scotty Miller with Dortch, but then obviously the gap between Rondale Moore and Mac Hollins, I could see how you can flip that one for sure.
Yeah, and then Marquise Brown and Drake London, I would probably put Drake London higher, but like not that much higher yet. He hasn't done anything to prove enough.
Yeah. And then I think Brandon Smith and Jared Bernhardt on both of these are probably the worst guys I've typed on this list. They're not good.
I'm gonna go just because they have a couple people who have been successful in the past. I'm gonna go with the Patriots next.
Okay. Yep.
Juju Smith-Schuster and Devontae Parker. If this was like 3 years ago, this would be awesome. Or 4 years ago, because those guys have had success in the past. They have just been not good recently. I think Devontae Parker had like I think he was like one of the worst wide receivers in the league this past year. Like I think like certain stats wise, like he was terrible. But like it's tough because he has been success. Like he's had some good years in the past. Maybe he just needed a change in scenery. Same for Juju. I think he it was kind of just a bunch of second stringers for the Chiefs. So I think he kind of got buried, but he had his moments. So he'll always have that 97-yard touchdown against the Lions. Thank you very much. But I just think they're a little bit better than the teams that are left, because the teams that are left have just they don't even have upside. Like at least Juju and Devontae Parker have had success in the past. You can say like, oh, maybe something comes back. The rest of the team, like the rest of the 3 teams, they've never had anybody who's anything. So,
well, I would say Bobby Trees has had something with the Texans. I'm going to take the Texans here. Maybe Nico Collins homer a little bit in there. I think he's going to be solid.
He actually isn't that bad. He's a solid pro.
Mm-hmm. John Mechie recovering from cancer. We'll see how this goes.
Your chance right there if he has any sort of season.
If anybody does, especially on a team like this, where it's like it's anybody's opportunity to show out, because there's not a lot of super deep talent here. Noah Brown was Noah Brown was with the Cowboys for like 4 years as like their number 4 or 5, so he's a decent. Tank Dell, obviously, as you mentioned. Amari Rogers was, I feel like he was when he get drafted by the Packers?
Yeah.
A couple years ago. And then Xavier Hutchinson, who probably also is up there with Jared Bernhardt and Brandon Smith as the worst people on this list. But I actually, there's so much potential still with Tank Dell. Amari Rogers, maybe this change of scenery now going to the Texans might be helpful. Noah Brown's got experience with the Cowboys on a good receiving core. Maybe Mechie breaks out. Collins is reliable, and Robert Woods has been there as a top receiver. So.
Yeah, but who's throwing him the ball?
Who's throwing him the ball, indeed.
It's never worked out for those guys.
Thankfully, no one else. I mean, no one else can throw the ball on these remaining two teams either. I stand on that hill that Isaiah died on 2 years ago.
Which hill is that?
The Ryan Tannehill hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And where do I want to go with? Who do I want to put last? Though, that's the question.
Sorry, I saw a tweet. Someone said Kadarius Toney starts talking crap about Giants fans. Then it said Eli Apple, and it was the interview that Soulja Boy did where he tells everybody that someone else stole his flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just like, I've been doing that.
Yeah. Packers, I guess I'll go with right now. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they do have a little more. They have more potential than the Titans for sure. Christian Watson could turn out to be something. Romeo Dubes. I
like Romeo Dubes out of Nevada.
Yeah, I mean, he was solid. Jaden Reed, I mean, could be a solid slot guy in the NFL. Samori Toure, same thing. Dontavion Wicks, and then Bo Melton's good return guy.
See, they got 3 dudes out of the Big Ten on that list.
They do. Bo Melton out of Rutgers, Reed. Yep, for sure.
The Packers have long been like Big Ten pro. Like, they always get Big Ten dudes.
Yeah. But I just, I don't love the Packers team this year, really, if I'm being honest. And I hope they stink. So they're
4th at running back and then not good at anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the running back, they've got 2.
Oh, offensive line at 11. That's fine.
They got 2 legit. They're going to be able to run the ball. They are not going to be able to throw the ball, in my opinion.
No.
Unless Jordan Love is somehow another third Hall of Famer, I think in a row.
Terrible.
Yeah, what didn't Jair Alexander say he's like the best quarterback ever?
Dude, I will call a suicide hotline if they have a third Hall of Fame quarterback in a row.
Can you imagine?
There's no way.
If he makes more than a Pro Bowl, I might still have to go see a therapist.
Yeah, be the most the most NFL history repeats itself thing would be like the Lions lose a wild card game this year and Jordan Love goes off.
Too much anxiety just thinking about it.
I don't know if I'd be able to watch. I don't know if I'd be able to watch the NFL if that kept happening. I might just stop. I'd just pick up watching like cricket or something instead. Like, I don't know.
XFL or USFL.
Yeah, I'll just be a massive USFL fan instead.
I would buy all their merchandise.
Yeah, I could probably all buy it all for like $100. So it's pretty cheap.
So right. I mean that leaves Isaiah what the Titans.
I will do the deed of picking the Titans at 32. I don't want to even name anybody because they all suck.
There's still Ryan Tannehill and the ghost of Julio Jones.
Ryan Tannehill was a better receiver in college than all these guys.
The ghost of
quarterback now.
What happened to Julio Jones?
I'm bringing this up, Isaiah, because there's 2 years ago or 3 years ago on a podcast, there's very distinct conversation about Julio's good and Ryan Tannehill is a solid
No.
I will break out the tape next week.
Okay, the Tannehill conversation, yes, I'm correct. I was much too high on Tannehill. I thought he was close to top 12, and I was wrong. But Julio Jones, I just said I don't think he's dead yet. I didn't say he was going to be amazing.
You're just find it.
Washed, he's a bum, and I was just like, I think he's still okay.
I mean, I think he was just old. Old. I don't know.
It's like he might be like the worst wide receiver, number 1 in the league, and I was like, okay, that's not true.
We're gonna find.
Listen, I am a strong, independent man, and I will take.
It's on here somewhere. It's on here somewhere. If you can
get
see
that, you do that. Yeah. I will take that, and I will be dead upon that hill.
The Ryan Tannehill thing, yeah, that didn't work out.
I understand. I was wrong.
Didn't work out. I mean, in fact, they're doing everything they can to not have Ryan Tannehill be their quarterback. If we're being honest,
I will admit I was wrong. It was a bad take.
Yeah,
it was a bad take. I get it. You don't have to find proof. I know. You don't have to find proof. I know you're.
I'm not even looking on the Ryan Tannehill. I'm on the wide receivers now for Julio Jones.
Don't
I'm
do
gonna
this
find
to
that
me.
one.
Don't do this to me, Joel. Don't do this.
I think I can't. I don't remember the Julio Jones part. I definitely remember like you saying no, he's better than you guys are giving credit for.
He ranked the Titans 2021 receiving group at 11, and I was like, it's just AJ Brown, and you're like, they have Julio, and then I was like, Julio is not that good. And then I'll find
Julio
it.
was good.
I ranked him at 11. What do you want from me?
I think I remember ranking him at like 23 that year, and I was like, okay, I guess I have to fill it in 11 here.
Yeah, find it.
I will.
I don't think it was as bad as you're making it out.
I will. I'm gonna send it over text. I will send it to you.
Sound good. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, you mentioned Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine and Racey McMath and Chris Moore and Colton Dowell.
That's the last time I'm going to hear any of those people's names except Treylon Burks.
I mean, Kyle Phillips maybe, but yeah.
No, Treylon Burks I think is could be a really solid number 5.
With the changes in the Chiefs and the Ravens ranking, the offense, special teams, and head coach combined now has the Eagles as the best.
It makes sense.
Then the Ravens, then the 49ers,
yeah.
Then the Chiefs,
yep.
Then the Bengals,
okay.
And then there's a little bit of a drop from those first 5. The Seahawks are next.
Sure.
Then the Bills, then the Browns. The Browns are still somehow in here. I can't believe it. In fact, the Browns are actually really good if you take away even their head coach and their special teams rankings. Both their head coach and special teams are 21. Every other position.
Good offense.
Every other position has been 18 or higher, and their wide receivers.
They have decent skills.
Their running backs are incredible. They're number 1.
Significantly last place is still the Bucks, even after their wide receivers went 13. Texans are second to last. The Commanders are third to last. The Cardinals 4th. The Titans are 5th to last. The Lions we have ranked 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13th. Lions are sitting at 13 right now. I think that's pretty fair. I feel like we've avoided some homers in them so far.
Yeah. And I don't
think the defense is going to help them, although their defensive backfield is going to be really good and their defensive line is going to be solid. But their
linebackers are going to be poo-poo.
So do you think after we do defensive lines, linebackers, special defensive backs, do they go up or down? 13.
I think
pretty much the same. I think they might go up a little.
I actually think they might go down. But
I don't think it's. I think they're going to stay about the same because I don't think it's anything that they've done. They do though. I think other teams around them will move.
I don't think they go lower than half. I think 16 is their lowest. They go from 13 to 16, worst case. I think they finished 15.
I'm pretty high on their DBs, right? And I'm pretty high on their defensive line. Although beyond Hutchinson, they don't have this star. And
I mean, their defensive backs are going to be top 5.
I think so. Yeah. But I still think their linebackers bottom. I think linebackers still bottom 5.
But I think their defensive line is going to be top 10. Probably.
Maybe
I have them probably around 15 or 16. Yeah, I would say 15 or 16. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I'd have to look at everybody else's still, but I think their D lines. Yeah, I mean it could be like 13, 12, maybe.
I think they could. I think they'll stay right there. They could bump up to like. I can't imagine them going higher than 10, but I can't imagine them going lower than like 15, 16.
Isaiah, before you do your quick power speed thing, I want to talk about like if the Patriots get DeAndre Hopkins, we have the Patriots.
Oh yeah, we were going to talk about that.
What's that?
We were going to talk about if teams got DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, so Patriots we have ranked at 29 for wide receiver right now. Where do they go if DeAndre goes there?
21, 20, something like that.
Yeah, like
I mean, you're looking at Juju, because now I think Kendrick Bourne is like becomes their 4th, Tyquan's their 5th. But again, I still think Juju, Devontae, and Kendrick I would love as like my top a top and 3rd wide receiver. And I still think DeAndre is like a 1. So I think you could argue them at I think highest would be 16 still though.
So I put them at like probably 20 or 19, something like that.
Yeah. I would say like 22, 21, 22.
Bills are ranked at 8. And if you get Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins,
they would go up to top 3
with Gabe Davis, who is still up and coming.
Yep.
I think top 5, right? 4 probably.
Yeah, 4.
I think top 3.
So we look at I don't think they're better than Seahawks though.
No.
I still like DK, Smith and Jigbo, Lockett, and Diaskevich better, but
I don't know. I might
having DeAndre Hopkins and Stephon Diggs is having
and Stephon Diggs. That's the top. That's the best duo.
do we think DeAndre is maybe a little overhyped yet? I think he's good still. I think he's very good still. I just think he's not
He's
what
just-
he was.
he's a number.
I see where you're
He's
coming
a,
from, but I think if you put him with Stephon Diggs, a guy that carries that much weight, I mean, they can't double DeAndre anymore at that point, right? So I think he would have a great year, even if the numbers don't say it. Like he would go off.
The Titans we ranked at 32. And I still Traylon Burks would move to the number 2 with DeAndre Hopkins is a clear 1. But that's still not a good room. I would probably still say like 20, 21 or 22.
I'd put him like 26, maybe 24. Like I wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think they're better than the Colts, and we put the Colts at 23.
Yeah, I mean, look at the other names on this Titans list. I mean, you still have Nick Westbrook, Akine,
Yeah,
Casey McMath. Like these are not good receivers.
that's fair. And then the Lions are the 4th most likely to sign Hopkins. Where would you put them with the Lions?
And what number of lines right now?
We rank the Lions at 15.
15.
That's tough, dude.
Like,
I mean, especially accounting for the
7th,
minus 6
maybe?
games without Jameson, but
6th or 7th, probably.
yeah. What about you, Isaiah, for the Lions? If Hopkins lands on the Lions, where do you put him from 15?
where do we
down
have
to
them on
what?
our list? I closed my list.
15. 15.
Probably 10.
For
Yeah.
10?
I think it's easily top 10. I think 8th, 7th or 8th even.
See, I think I could have put an argument up there with like the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne. Like you have Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, and DeAndre Hopkins now. That's better 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Marvin Jones, even Josh Reynolds. I mean, those are solid.
I think Jones is a skeleton of himself, but if he can be good for those 6 games that Jameson's out, I don't care. Like do what you need to
Still
do.
out on Jameson Williams, though. That's the only problem. So it's tough to like. I mean, I have high hopes, right? But it's tough to say what he's really gonna be. Which is why I kind of hope the Lions get DeAndre because he's much more of a proven commodity.
All right, Isaiah, fly through your thing.
Okay. So I think Ben was with us last time.
Ben was not. I don't think Ben was. We did the rapid fire 2020.
We went through the 2020 first round draft and said if people underperformed, overperformed, or met expectations.
Yeah.
Because the 2020 draft was, in my mind, bad. Almost like maybe 5 guys exceeded expectations. Everybody else is just poo-poo. But the 2021 draft is actually good. So just I'm gonna say where they were picked, who they are, and then if they met, exceeded, or underperformed. So number 1 overall pick, 2021 Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence.
I'd say
he was supposed to be. He was still one of the greatest quarterbacks coming out of college, and I think he hasn't been the greatest coming out yet. So he's on the up though.
Meyer, so I'll put an asterisk next to it and give him.
He's on the up though. He hasn't underperformed after last year. He made up for what he has done. So.
Right, and I
don't think you can say he
underperformed was a problem. So get rid of Urban Meyer. We'll give him some grace on that one.
Okay, totally in the other direction. Number 2 overall, Zach Wilson.
Underperformed, just like I predicted though. But yeah,
not even close. Just disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Possibly like one of the worst draft busts in the past 5 years. Yeah. Okay. This is another tough one in my mind. I think under, but Trey Lance, number 3.
Under. If you're number 3, right? Under.
Yeah. He hasn't been a starting quarterback more than like 4 games in his career.
Got a chance to still turn it around. I think Zach Wilson, it's almost over for him.
Yeah.
Now. But Trey Lance still has a shot, I guess, to still have more of a career. But Zach Wilson.
I don't think Zach Wilson has the opportunity to even be like a journeyman.
No.
Like, I don't think he's even going to have like a long career where he just bounces around to places. I think he's going to be out of the league in 5 years.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle Pitts at number 4.
Man, no, underperformed still.
I'm gonna say under.
I think under. I think under.
He was slightly under. He's not like the other two guys.
He was supposed to be Jesus. Like, oh, he's a tight end, but he's a wide receiver, but he could.
But we all were in agreement that it's going to depend on the team and scheme that he goes to and how they can use a guy like him.
Yep.
If he, man, can you imagine him being at like the 49ers?
Imagine if he was on the Lions.
Even the Lions,
yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people wanted the Lions to pick him at like him. To
49ers said Kittle, but if you see how the 49ers use Kittle, it's similar. They should, and Pitts is even more athletic. So
yeah, he could. I mean, and that could still happen. Maybe after his rookie contract, he goes to a team that can actually utilize him. That's a long time to wait. Okay, number 5, Ja'Marr Chase. I would say over.
Exceed. I think exceed. He's one of the best receivers in the league.
Especially because remember halfway through preseason he had all those drops and everybody's like he's a bust, he sucks or whatever. It turns out he was the best rookie that year, probably.
I mean, I think part of the success is that he's just with his college buddy of Joe Burrow. Like I think that connection really, like they are just more on the same page as any wide receiver and quarterback duo in the league. So okay, number 6, Jalen Waddle.
Matt.
Exceeds. I'd say just because he was coming off an injury. He was he was awesome last year. He was awesome.
Yeah.
If he exceeds though, he's a 6th overall pick. He should be he should be a top 10 wide receiver. I don't think he's quite a top 10 wide receiver.
No. Yeah. Okay, so
I mean, he does have to deal with being second. Like he does have to.
And he has Tua throwing to him.
True.
Or Mike White.
I'd say he's like
or Skylar
he's close. He's close to exceeding, but like I think this year will show a lot. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Lions, Penei Sewell.
Net. Everyone knew he was the best tackle. Everyone knew he was the best tackle.
This is who they thought he would be, if we're being honest.
He's on the trajectory to exceed. Like if he just keeps this up.
It's tough to exceed because people already knew he was going to be an all-pro tackle.
Right. But he took the year off from COVID. Like people kind of had some question marks around him. Like he would just pick up where he left off. I think he can exceed if he starts making because I think it's well within reach to make like Pro Bowl, All Pro. So if he starts doing that, I think it's exceed. But okay, first cornerback taken, J.C. Horn.
Underperformed.
Probably. I mean,
he had the injury. He had the injuries too. So
yeah.
Second cornerback taken, Patrick Surtain the second.
Matt.
He's been good.
Yeah.
Been all right. Alabama wide receiver, Devontae Smith.
From my perspective, I thought he was going to be a bust.
Yeah.
Not a super bust, but I didn't think he was going to be good.
I would say Matt because he was really good.
Matt.
I would put him with
number
the
2
same
receiver, right?
I'd put him the same as Jalen.
Won the Heisman that year, so it's like,
how
did he really exceed? No.
And what he was still that's his 10th overall, right? So he should. I mean, a 10th overall pick should be your first receiver, I think. But
that was an asterisk Heisman because that was garbage that he won that. But
I agree.
But yeah, I think he's in the same boat as Jalen Waddle. Like he could still exceed, but he's a number 2 wide receiver for a very good team. So, very good. I wouldn't say that about the Dolphins, but okay. Number 11 overall, the Chicago Bears selected Justin Fields.
He's on the up, but it's too early to say.
It's too early, but I'd say Matt. He hasn't done anything to underperform. He's had a horrendous team around him.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
It could go either way. He could just drop off the face of the earth, and I don't think I'd be surprised.
I think he would, though. I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to be.
No, I don't.
He's not going to be Dwayne Haskins.
Though. I think he's just going to be a pretty solid quarterback.
He's not going to be like Dwayne Haskins, though. So
no.
I think this player has exceed. Los Angeles Chargers selected Rashawn Slater 13th overall.
Yeah, he's good. A lot of people put him right up there with Penei Sewell. Even some even say better. So
I think he's been very good.
I think he had a lower ceiling than Penei, but he had definitely a.
That's why it's easier to say over on him because people didn't expect him to be as good or better than Penei in a lot of ways. So
I think he is meeting his best case scenario right now, which New York Jets number 14 overall, Elijah Vera Tucker.
Nah, he's okay. He's just an okay guard. He's a reliable guard.
He's good. I'd say he's good.
Man, he signs. Besides Trevor Lawrence, this is not a good quarterback class. Mac Jones
underperformed, but
but
again, I didn't think he was gonna be good.
That's what I'm saying. I was not high on him, and like he did it his first year. I was like,
he impressed me his first year. I'm not gonna lie. He was.
We're not necessarily going. We're not necessarily going what we thought. It's where they were selected.
Yeah. I would say he still underperformed slightly. Yeah.
Underperformed, definitely. Arizona Cardinals at 16 overall was Zaven Collins, linebacker.
Underperformed. I thought he was gonna be better.
I thought he was gonna be really good, actually.
Yeah, he won the Nagurski and the Bedrick Award that year.
Yeah. I liked him a lot. But
I was super high on him.
Okay, Raiders selected Alex Leatherwood at 17.
Underperformed, but the Raiders are so bad at first round picks.
It's tough.
Because he went there, it was over for him.
Yeah.
He could flip it. It could be flipped around. It could be flipped. Jalen Phillips, defensive end for the Miami Dolphins from Miami, Florida, at 18 overall.
Matt, he's been okay.
Yeah, he's kind of moved up and down that depth chart. It's kind of just as needed. So it's like you want your first round defensive end to like contribute regularly.
Top 10. He definitely was below some of the other. I mean, it wasn't a great edge class.
So barely met is my answer.
I totally skipped a player. I would definitely say exceeded. Micah Parsons was picked 12 overall.
Yeah.
Exceeded. Best defensive player possibly in the NFL.
Yeah.
He might be the best exceed. He might be the best exceed so far in this list.
Yeah. He's a top 5 defensive player.
That's again why I still was like the Lions need to take that guy. I mean, I'm not saying like
that's because I didn't think Panay would go there. I wanted him there, but Panay's is still a great pick.
That's true, but I was like, oh my gosh, I thought Micah Parsons was going to be an absolute animal, and he.
Hindsight, I still think I'd take Panay, but
I do because I'm happy the way the Lions trajectory went. But imagine Micah Parsons on an Aaron Glenn defense, he would be an absolute animal.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Rodriguez, Hutchinson, and
would we even draft Hutch though if we had Micah Parsons? That's the other thing to consider.
I don't know. I really don't know. We also have a much worse right tackle. So
yeah.
We would also have a much worse right tackle. That's true. Okay. 19 overall Washington football team this year. They were Jamin Davis.
Underperformed.
Yeah.
He was drafted higher than I thought he would, though. I thought he was a mid-second.
Yep.
All right, New York Giants. I mean, this is funny. Kadarius Toney at 20.
Underperformed. Yeah.
And he hates the Giants.
And he hates people on Twitter. Just hates people.
Yeah. I thought he was drafted a little high, so it's hard to say underperformed, but he was drafted at 21 overall.
He's done nothing in the league really of any substance.
No, I'm talking about the next guy.
Oh, okay.
This next guy. I thought he was drafted a little high. Kwity Paye, the Colts.
He's underperformed. He's
underperformed. We'll see, but yeah, he's underperformed.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these players, just because this draft is only like 2 years ago, like this will be their third year in the league. It's like, okay, how much do we know?
I thought Kwity Paye was like an early second, which I think he would have met those type of.
A bad edge class though. If we're being honest.
Yeah, it was. It was not a good edge class. You had a couple guys right in the top, and then that was nothing. Okay, Tennessee Titans at 22 overall selected Caleb Farley.
Underperformed. Yeah, underperformed. He hasn't been good. He's actually slipped down that depth chart even.
Yeah, it's kind of high on him. I thought he was good.
Okay.
I thought he was probably the second or third best corner in the class, which that should be better.
I think it's tough. There's a couple guys like towards the end of the round where it's like there's still chances for them to show something. But Minnesota Vikings at 23 selected Christian Darrisaw.
He's been good.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers at 24, Najee Harris. I would say exceeded.
I'd say Matt. They drafted him back, and
he was the first back selected.
Yeah, first back selected. Yeah, I think he's Matt.
Yeah. Okay. Next back selected Travis Etienne for the Jaguars. I'd say Matt.
Matt now because he had a nice rebound, but the injury definitely stalled everything to be great because I think he could.
He had a good year last year.
All I gotta say is Urban Meyer. Just throw that whole year away.
Urban Meyer didn't make him get hurt though. That's the other thing.
He might have kicked him.
He hurt his feelings. Greg Newsome the second for the Cleveland Browns, cornerback.
He's technically still a starter where he is now, but I don't
Yeah,
think he's on the Browns even.
I'd say underperformed, maybe Met for him.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe Met. Yeah. Barely Met.
Yeah. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver for the Ravens.
Met. He's on the Ravens.
Yeah.
I say underperformed. But
yeah, I'd say
how much
Matt.
can you expect a Ravens receiver to put
but
up?
when he gets drafted, you expect him to elevate the Ravens receiving core.
Well, he was a Minnesota.
He's also a Minnesota receiver, which is basically the same thing as being a Ravens receiver. The college version of the Ravens. They run the ball 1,000 times and throw the ball once.
And the Lions got that run. And the Lions have that running
back. Not expected.
And the Lions have that running back. Yep.
They do.
All right. I think that we're getting into some guys that are a little tough, but Peyton Turner for the Saints.
Underperformed.
Pretty bad. I think he's been pretty bad.
Yeah. Eric Stokes for the Packers. I would say
underperformed. Because him and Tyson Campbell were both drafted by the Packers, though. I think, and they were both out of Georgia.
Yep.
And Elijah Stokes, I think, was the better one. So I don't know. He might be close to. He's like their fourth corner, though. So yeah, that's probably underperformed.
Yeah. If you were a first round cornerback in a pretty weak cornerback class, you should be more than their third or fourth.
I just think the fact that he's now like the third or fourth corner on the Packers. I
think they were looking for someone to be the number 2 behind Jair. Gregory Rousseau for the Bills.
He's been hit and miss, but I think he's
give him a met.
I was going to say it's almost slightly under met, but
I would say he's met because I just think they're using him as a specialty, just pass rush guy right now. He's not an every down player. He's a good pass rusher.
I remember though at the beginning of 2021, like the first mock drafts had Rousseau be like a top 3 pick.
He was like number 5. He was like going early.
Well, another guy that people had very high, who ended up dropping a bit. I think I remember on draft night thinking he'd drop. Adafe Owe for the Ravens at 31.
Jason Owe, Adafe Owe. He was
I'd say
he's solid though. I'd say Matt.
I'd say Matt.
Yeah. And then last one, Joe Tyrone Shoyinka.
Joe Tryon Shoyinka. Yeah, out of Washington, right? He was bad. He's not good.
Terrible.
He's been bad. He might be one of the worst first round picks here.
Yeah.
He's up there. That's Zach Wilson.
Okay.
He's already like the sixth defensive end on the Bucks. So yeah.
But okay, so that's end of the first round.
Defensive line on the Bucks, so that's holding back a little bit. But
it's a year prior, but definitely a better draft than 2020.
I'd
A
agree.
1,000,000% a better draft than 2020.
I'd agree. There's still some on there where it's just like this was a horrible pick though.
Yeah, true, but like 2020, you just had it.
There's just a lot of this one's a lot of met, but I think
there's a lot of met
with 2021 though. Like you said, this is going to be their third year, and the third year for a lot of players is like, okay, you have to get it together by now.
And that's maybe that's why 2020 looks worse. But I also think, like, I mean, I'm looking at it again.
Even if you go 50-50 on some of those Mets turning into exceed and underachieve.
2020, you still have Jeff Okudah, Tua, Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, C.J. Henderson, Mekhi Becton, Henry Ruggs. Like, come on.
Henry Ruggs, man. There's some on there. That's tough.
Dude,
not
the
good.
2020 draft is just not.
Oh man,
a bad first round.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to come in and do the 2019 though. I
was going to say we might have to start going backwards because guess who was number 1 overall in 2019?
Davion Clown. I'm just kidding. He was like 2013.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Kyler.
Wow.
Underperformed.
He should have went to play with the A's, dude. I'm telling you.
This is a pretty good draft, though. I mean, you got Josh Allen, Nick Bosa, TJ Hawkinson, Brian Burns. Like, this is a pretty good draft. This would be fun to look at.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll kick off the defensive line probably next week, and then we'll do it 1 week at a time. And then after that, we could take some space off between the start of the season. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Yep.
See you.